into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, and of course on Roku via the National Streaming Sports app. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Download their app and see all of the different sports options that are out there. You don't have to just deal with my goofy self, but you got a whole bunch of other people out there that you can listen to as well. Everything from the NBA to the NFL to college football. If you think someone's out there better than me, and they're more than likely are, go out there, check out what they've got from our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Want to give a shout out to the to the live audience right now on TikTok as well. We've got a lot of Eagles fans in there. I'm seeing that we got a Chargers for Life fan joining us right now as well. It's going to be a fun time, so let's hang out. Let's get it started here. But before we do all that, I have to remind you that we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33 and save up to 15% on all of the products that they have out there. The holidays right around the corner. If you make your order today, chances are it'll get to you by Christmas time. Take care of that person in your life that loves their car more than they love themselves. RevAutoCarCare.com. Promo code Tipton33. And of course, our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Go over there, see what they've got. You can save up to 35% on the big package, but of course they always have the My Happy Nuts Comfort Cream and all of the other amazing products that they have for your nuts to be just as happy as my nuts with myhappynuts.com. And of course, the Bulber. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, guys. Don't be effing gross. I always feel bad for the people that tune in for the very first time, and that's the message that they see, right? Like taking care of business, being like, yeah, we got the Bulber here. We've got myhappynuts.com as a sponsor here for what we're doing with the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. But you know what? I love each and every gosh darn second of it. There was going to be other words that came out of there, but I had to stop myself because we're live on Roku. Thank you, National Streaming Sports. All right, moving on. I was going over an article today, and I saw from Bill Barnwell over on ESPN.com, they were talking about the worst decision made by every NFL team over the last 5 years. And obviously it's going to be like contract signings and drafting certain players, I guess. Maybe it might be drafting certain players. And I had to sit there and think about it, like what would be the worst decision made by any one of the NFL teams that are out there? And the only one that really comes to mind that I think has of any consequence would probably be the Cleveland Browns signing Deshaun Watson to a $236 million fully guaranteed contract, and they've gotten maybe 12 games out of it. A lot of that because of personal issues, a lot of that because of not being able to keep his hands to himself, some of that because of injury, right? But when you look at all the different contracts that are out there, you look at all the different signings that have been out there, you got to think to yourself that, sorry, I had to check the audio. The audio is always a thing that messes with me. One time it happens out of 5 years, and now it's a thing stuck in my head. But whenever you look at that Deshaun Watson contract, $236 million guaranteed. And the fact that whenever Cleveland signed Deshaun Watson to that contract, they were on the cusp of becoming a team that we thought would be a perennial playoff team. They were on the cusp of being a team that were just right there. Let's not forget this team took a 4th and 3 from the eventual Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in order to survive. They took a 4th and 3 conversion in order for Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, with Odell Beckham Jr. It took a miracle almost for the Kansas City Chiefs to beat this team. They get rid of Baker Mayfield. They signed Deshaun Watson. Now here we go. This team is terrible. 3 wins on the season. Jameis Winston as a quarterback is going to be benched now. Augustine Pimentel over on Facebook saying that he is listening while he's taking a shower. I should I be flattered? Am I in the shower with you? Is my voice echoing all throughout the landscape of the restroom? Echoey bathrooms is where you can hear my voice the best. Also feel bad for the people that just tuned in and they got to hear that part of echoey bathrooms is where you get to hear my voice the best. It's already a creepy voice. I can imagine that being your introduction to me. But the Cleveland Browns and all they're doing with Deshaun Watson and all they did with Deshaun Watson and how they kind of had a lot of turnover with that team because of the amount of money they were paying Deshaun Watson, that's got to be one of the worst contract signings of not just the last 5 years, but of all time. The dude was not good for them. And then all the baggage that came around it, there were people out there that were lifelong Cleveland Browns fans that decided they were going to no longer support the Cleveland Browns based off the decision that the team made to sign Deshaun Watson. That's their prerogative, right? There was so much that surrounded him. All the sexual misconduct allegations, 24 of them, I want to say, maybe 26. Whenever you have to get up to that number where you have to think about what the overall number is, it's too much. Those were issues that were surrounding Deshaun Watson. The Cleveland Browns said, nah, we're good. We'll sign him. We'll get rid of Baker Mayfield. How good is Baker Mayfield? Fast forward to now, Baker Mayfield being on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, took him to the playoffs last year, possibility of taking them to the playoffs this year, and they're a team that was not supposed to be this far, was not supposed to be this good. Tommy Canansa over on YouTube saying, good morning, Tip. Good morning to you, Tommy. Good morning to everyone that's tuned in over on the TikTok stream as well. We're talking about some of the worst decisions made by NFL franchises. The article by Bill Barnwell on ESPN, and I didn't get to read the whole thing. It's behind a paywall, and I have a thing about paying for being able to read articles. I'll just wait till the synopsis of it comes out, right? But Bill Barnwell puts out the worst signings by every NFL team, the worst move by every NFL team over the last 5 years. And what comes to mind is the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson. Following that has to be the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Tip, like there was an injury, there was this, there was that, blah, 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 blah. None of that matters. The fact of the matter is that Aaron Rodgers was signed by the New York Jets to be their savior, to be the guy that took them to the promised land. The window was open for them. I remember having arguments with Brandon the Iceman Cohen on Fire and Ice, another show that I do, where he was saying that move was going to take the Jets and propel them to the top of the NFC East. And I sat there, or the AFC East, and I sat there and I told him there's no way in a cold damn hell that would actually happen. Aaron Rodgers at that point in time was well past his prime. Wasn't the Aaron Rodgers that we were used to seeing, that he's made his name off of. You got the one glimpse, right? The flash in the pan that happened this weekend of what it was like to see Aaron Rodgers the way he used to look. That right there, my friends, is the sun shining on a dog's ass every now and then. Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be that guy going forward anymore. It's going to be so difficult for him to be able to capture that lightning in a bottle that he had just because he's going to be 40 years old. I'm 40. I'm out of shape. He's 40. He's a professional football player, but 40 for a professional football player is like 9,000 years old if your name isn't Tom Brady. That Aaron Rodgers signing by the New York Jets did what every sports team or every sports fan out there doesn't want to do. It gave a bad franchise hope. What the Dallas Cowboys did with their wins against the Giants and against the Commanders, it gave their fans, myself included, that much hope. Like, yeah, there's a small, tiny chance that you can get to the playoffs. Even now, somehow, some way, the pathetic Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to still make the playoffs. Obviously, they need catastrophes to happen throughout the rest of the NFC in order to make the playoffs, but they are not currently mathematically eliminated. They're done. But they gave their fans a window of hope that they shouldn't have given their fans. That's the exact same thing that the New York Jets did. Whoever thought that the Jets going out and signing Aaron Rodgers, trading to get him, giving him the keys to the franchise, we'll bring in Alan Lazard, That's an awesome pick for us to do, right? Like, that's a great pickup, Alan Lazard. Let's bring in all of your friends from a team that you said didn't have enough talent around it. Aaron Rodgers, back-to-back years with the Green Bay Packers, makes it to the NFC Championship game, but this team doesn't have enough talent to overcome. Goes with the New York Jets and has just been a shell of himself in the games that he was actually able to play. They're paying him however millions of dollars they're paying him, and they even lost, or they only got 4 plays out of him last year where he became a lifelong meme running out with a flag just to get hurt, tearing an Achilles 4 plays into the damn season. Huge swings and misses left and right happening in the NFL, happening, over the last 5 years, as Bill Barnwell's article is going out there to allude to. Who were the worst pickups and the worst signings over the last 5 years? Obviously, I say the best signing that happened over the last 5 years was Tom Brady going over to Tampa Bay, but that's just me. Tom Brady solidifying that he is the greatest of all time as quarterbacks go, going over to Tampa Bay, winning himself a Super Bowl, having himself a good old time, just basically being Tom Brady. As far as drafts go, who's the worst pick out of the draft in the last 5 years? I think that's a hard one to tell. A lot of people earlier this year would have said it's Bryce Young. Bryce Young comes back, and he's been playing halfway decent. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys somehow not favored against the Carolina Panthers made the Carolina Panthers look like the Carolina Panthers, but Bryce Young has been playing better. There's just no real talent around Bryce Young in Carolina. I really actually didn't want to start with that. I was going to start with my top 10. Jesus, man. Remember, the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33. That is promo code Tipton33. This guy saying, bro, you could just talk to your wife in the kitchen. I could, but I also get paid to do this. That's why I have thousands of followers and you're just some guy. I've also been on ESPN. What have you done, guy? Huh? I love idiots like that. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, I can plug in my phone. I'll invite you onto the live, and I'll give you 5 minutes to see what you can do. How's that go? I would love that idea. I love that idea because you always see what people really are, because I guarantee what it would devolve to is, you're an idiot, you're fat, you're bald. Yes, I could talk to my wife in the kitchen. Cool. Great observation, guy. What an idiot that guy is. Thank you for tuning in, though. I appreciate you. But my Tippy Top 10. Let's talk about this. The Tippy Top 10. What's going on here with the NFL, what the top 10 teams in the NFL are, at least according to me, right? And what I'm going off of is not just record, but how the team looks, where they stand right now injury-wise, and all of the other factors that are out there with the NFL. Currently, right now, the top 10 team that I have sitting here at number 10 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay comes into this week at 8-6. Obviously, the NFC South is not a great division. It's not something that anyone should really write home about. It's not super competitive either, right? Like, it just seems like it's one of those forgotten divisions. But we have to remember what brought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Look at the amount of injuries that they've been able to overcome. There was a month span there where they didn't have their top 3 wide receivers because of injury. Hell, they still don't have Chris Godwin. And that, to me, is a guy that spreads the field for them so much better. But you have a guy like Mike Evans, who is going to be a bona fide Hall of Famer, should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, Mike Evans. The amount of consecutive 1,000-yard seasons that Mike Evans has had is just mind-blowing to me. It's almost like he's one of those super quiet superstars that you just don't get anything from. And this team, I think, is perfectly happy flying under the radar. You got Baker Mayfield, a castaway from multiple teams, a guy that was just thrown away to the side by the Cleveland Browns whenever they decided they wanted to sign Deshaun Watson. Baker Mayfield out here doing his thing. They've got a pretty decent running game with Bucky Irvin and them boys, a whole running back by committee. They just have, like, they're that gritty team. We look at all the flash in the pan teams, like in the NFC, that's a gritty team. That's a team that you could look at and say, I wouldn't be surprised if they win a couple of games in the playoffs. Would you be surprised if they won the Super Bowl? Hell yeah, you would. But would you be surprised if they won a game in the playoffs? I don't think you would. At number 9, I have the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, to me, again, I am so surprised. I am contrite. I will show my contrition to Bo Nix. I did not think Bo Nix was going to be this good, but I think it's because we got so used to the long-term quarterbacks in college not being able to pan out, because the thought process was, if you're good enough to be a starter in college for 6 years, why haven't you made it to the NFL? Like, there's always going to be that one thing, right? Why haven't you been able to make it to the NFL? And Bo Nix is proving that whole thing wrong. He and Jaden Daniels are proving that whole mindset wrong. Bo Nix had 61 starts in college as a college football player at the highest level. We look at what Oregon is now. That's where Bo Nix was last year. Like he is a good quarterback. He is carrying the Denver Broncos to where they need to be. Not a lot of sexy names on the Denver Broncos. Again, another gritty team, right? Solid defense, coached by Sean Payton, so you know that they're going to have a pretty decent offensive scheme. They're one of those teams that like have no name. And that to me is one of the cool things and scary things about a team like this. Now, obviously, I don't think that they have what it takes to win a Super Bowl. But as it stands right now, they could eventually, like, would you be surprised if you see maybe in 2 or 3 years that the Denver Broncos usurp the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West, just based off of, the salary cap issues that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have? And I said this at the beginning of the year, whenever I thought that Denver wasn't going to be good this year. I just thought, how are they going to be able to overcome the fact that they have $80 million this year in dead cap space that they cannot spend? Well, that $80 million in dead cap gets taken away. They wind up getting $110 million in freed up salary cap space next year, along with a quarterback that is proving to us that he's actually a pretty damn good quarterback and is on a rookie contract. Linda McGrath saying, hey, Mike, Mac, and Linda watching over on Roku. I appreciate that. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. Glad to see. Saw the news that Mac was finally able to go back home. That's awesome to see. Mac, recover quickly, my friend. Can't wait to see you back on the airwaves. But the Denver Broncos, they are going to be a coaching dream. And now knowing that they have that much money freed up in salary cap space, it makes me wonder what this team can be next year if they sign the right free agents. Obviously, that's a big caveat with the if. At number 8, and this is what got me in trouble last week with Tommy Cananza, who's tuned into the show right now, the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, they're coming off a win. And it wasn't an impressive win. It wasn't anything that you wanted to write home about, right? Like Derrick Henry wasn't the Derrick Henry that we expect him to be. Lamar Jackson's being Lamar Jackson. I saw a post the other day from someone that damn near blew my mind out of my brain, where it said Justin Tucker is more valuable to the Baltimore Ravens than Lamar Jackson is. And that to me is just someone out there just wanting to say stuff to just say stuff, right? Like I've done it on Instagram where I make fun of Harrison Butker. And apparently I'm the worst person in the world, according to a certain sect of people, because how dare I make fun of a kicker? He's much more manly than I am because he kicks a football. But this guy puts out there that Harrison or that Justin Tucker is more important to the Baltimore Ravens than Lamar Jackson is. And that's just flatly wrong, right? He's like, oh, well, if you look at it right now, Justin Tucker's struggling and Lamar Jackson is balling out, but they have a worse record this year. If you took Lamar Jackson off of the Baltimore Ravens, they would be a lottery team. They're a good team. The question that I have for the Baltimore Ravens is that defense. I've been harking on it, and it feels like I've been doing it every damn week for God knows how long. But the Baltimore Ravens defense is just not good. Just not good at all. At number 7. So right now I have 10 through 8 is Tampa Bay at 10, the Denver Broncos at 9, and then the Baltimore Ravens at 8. 7, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to find out which one of those two teams is going to win the division this week because you got Baltimore facing against Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh's offense. I know they ran into a buzzsaw in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the hottest team in the NFL right now. If I'm not mistaken, it's 8 straight wins, 9 straight wins that the Philadelphia Eagles have rattled off right now. They are a damn good team. The Pittsburgh Steelers are also a pretty damn good team. The question that I have with them is, will they be able to overcome these injuries? What's really going on with George Pickens? Is it really a hamstring? Because it doesn't seem like it might be. Right? Like what's the deal going on here with George Pickens and this team? You had TJ Watt go down with what seemed to be like a little injury. Najee Harris fumbling the ball at terrible times to fumble the ball. And then, of course, you got Russell Wilson, who is actually cooking this year, doing what we all thought he might have done in Denver a couple years back, resurrecting his career on $1 million contract. What do the Pittsburgh Steelers do in the future with that? Do they re-sign Russell Wilson? Do they hand the keys over to Justin Fields? Because let's not forget, this team was 4-0 with Justin Fields. What are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to do? That's a question for me. That loss against Philadelphia showed me a chink in their armor. It showed me that you can run against this team. Ball control is what you need, and obviously ball control wins most games. But ball control against the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be paramount. With George Pickens being out, who's going to be the main guy? Who's the main receiver that they have there? Because it just seems like all you got to do is focus your defense on Najee Harris, and you're good to go. Continuing here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Remember, we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com, RevAutoCarCare.com, and, of course, our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Go visit myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton and check out what they have for all your male grooming needs. Guys, don't be effing gross. Take care of yourselves. It's really that simple. Do what you got to do. Make that lady in your life happy. Use the Bulber. This right here, the Bulber. Tommy Canasso reminding me that the Pittsburgh Steelers were actually 4-1. Their lone loss under Justin Fields coming to the juggernaut of a team known as the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, man. I mean, whenever you run into a literal buzzsaw like the Dallas Cowboys early on into the season, damn, I almost got through that. Let me try it again. Pittsburgh Steelers going 4-1 with Justin Fields running into a perennial buzzsaw like the Dallas Cowboys is going to shatter the confidence of any quarterback. No wonder the Pittsburgh Steelers benched Justin Fields and had to go with Russell Wilson, because that loss to the Dallas Cowboys, the way that they lost to just a dominating Dallas Cowboys team in Pittsburgh earlier this season, shook Justin Fields to his core and is going to affect his grandchildren's grandchildren for generations to come. You know, there's someone that just tuned in that thinks I'm serious about that right now. It's like, this effing idiot, he knows nothing about anything. It's sports, guys. Don't take it so damn seriously. We have no impact on the game. I was talking about that yesterday. Someone asked me, they're like, Tip, why do you talk about sports? I was like, I love it, dude. It's just it's a community, right? Like, you have factions of teams. People love their team. There's no way you're going to make them hate their team. The only people that can make them hate their team is their team, right? But whenever you start doubling down and being like, oh, the Cowgirls, or as Augustine says, the Brokebacks, right? Whenever you go with lame insults like that, then it becomes like, oh, okay, well, I got to defend my team now, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, how do you feel whenever the Cowboys lose? And I'm like, I feel nothing. Like, I get disappointed a little bit. I take a breath, and then I realize that I don't play on the damn field. I have no impact on the game. Why am I going to let it bother me and bother my Sunday? I've got a whole life I can live. The Dallas Cowboys lose at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what that means? It means I'm drunk at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and can watch more football and not have to worry about emotions. And then watch my fantasy team lose. That's the one that really hurts. Want to give a shout out to everyone that's tuned in over on the TikTok feed right now. I see a bunch of people tuned in on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, and of course, our friends over on Roku via the National Streaming Sports app. Awesome to be a part of that. Honored, really, to be a part of that. I don't understand, or I guess I kind of do understand. I'm a little weird with some of these things. I hate taking compliments, but I don't understand how or why I am so blessed enough to be able to do this stuff. It's awesome to be able to do this stuff. I see my dude Eric Shane, the Wolf Munoz, is tuned in right now, giving us nothing but straight fire. Got nothing but love for you, my dude. The sarcoma run, looking forward to that. Those that don't know, my dude Eric Shane, the Wolf Munoz, is a sarcoma survivor, has created a sarcoma 5K to help out those kids that are in need here in El Paso. I've been going out there helping him out for the last 3 years, and it's been an absolute honor to be a part of that, my guy. I love what you're doing here for the city of El Paso and for the people that are inflicted with that horrible disease of sarcoma. Wow. This is where I think I got to get tested for like ADHD or something, or ADD. Like, I went from talking about a top 10 to why I love football to how lucky I am to be on Roku with National Streaming Sports to talking about sarcoma. Now back into the top 10 where I'm now at 6. I didn't even get through the top 7 or the top 5 before I took that weird break right there. Currently where it stands. Number 10, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 9, the Denver Broncos. Number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coming in at number 6 should be no surprise to anybody. It is the Green Bay Packers. All those teams right there, separated by 2 wins. The Buccaneers 8-6 on the season. The Green Bay Packers 10-4 on the season. The Steelers 10-4. Baltimore and Denver 9-5. We're seeing how close all of these teams are in the standings. The Green Bay Packers, to me, though, again, this is a team that has a lot of young talent around it. You would have thought maybe they paid a little too much for Jordan Love. Jordan Love taking care of the football. That's all you need to do as a quarterback. Take care of the damn football. They know how to run the ball. Josh Jacobs is a huge signing for them. Once again, I am contrite in how I approached the beginning of the season. I thought getting rid of Aaron Jones was more than likely going to be more of a detriment because Josh Jacobs wasn't the Josh Jacobs he was previously. I was wrong. That team in Green Bay can run the damn ball. And Josh Jacobs has had a career resurgence in Green Bay following what that horrible time must have been like at the end of his tenure in Las Vegas. The Green Bay Packers, to me, that the other 4 teams, right? Tampa Bay, Denver, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Would I be surprised if I saw them win the Super Bowl? Yes, I would. I know that Baltimore's a really good team. I just don't think they have what it takes on defense to win the Super Bowl. I look at the Green Bay Packers, and if this team were to win a Super Bowl, I would not be shocked at all. They are a quintessential built to win now team. And the scary thing about it is they still have guys on rookie contracts like Romeo Doubs, right? Like, their receiving core is so young. They are the youngest offense in the NFL right now. Wrap your mind around that. The Green Bay Packers at 10-4, the youngest offense in the NFL right now, which means they're more than likely only going to just keep getting better. The Green Bay Packers, to me, that's a wild card team that I think can throw a wrench into the plans of a lot of other teams. That is not the team anybody wants to face in the playoffs right now, or in the playoffs at all, or even hell, towards the end of the season. They still have something to play for. Outside shot, small outside shot that they could still win the division, but it's there. They got an opportunity. So there you go. Those are the top 6 right there. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Green Bay Packers. Whenever we come back on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, presented to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com and MyHappyNuts.com. Whenever we return, we will finish out the top 5 list, and I've got a problem with the NBA. We'll be right back. Oh, hello. I'm Mike Tipton. I want to tell you about the perfect gift this holiday season. The Ballber's dual-sided ergonomic design allows it to go both
both ways, meaning you can shave in either direction. The slim shape is optimal for trimming those hard-to-reach areas. It's also nut safe, providing a 30-degree pivoting blade that is engineered for nut keeping. Say goodbye to the cuts, nicks, pulling, tugging, and snaps. If you're looking for stamina, it's got exactly what you need. With its long-lasting lithium rechargeable battery, it can last up to 150 minutes on one charge. The Bulber is IPX7 waterproof, which means it can have fun, dry, or wet. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton to give your man the perfect package for his package.
James Montoya, thank you so much for joining us here. What is it that you want to talk about? There, you got some pretty cool stuff out here.
We do. So, the Sun Bowl, it's a cherished tradition for El Pasoans and our families and folks from out of town. But we know and we recognize that some people partake in this celebration with some adult beverages. And so we just want to make sure that people drink responsibly and that they get home safe from the Sun Bowl and on New Year's Eve. And so right now, the District Attorney's Office under DA Bill Hicks secured a grant from TxDOT, the Texas Department of Transportation, for free Uber rides on New Year's Eve, starting on December 31st, for people to get home. And so there's going to be 800 free Uber rides up to $20. They're $20 vouchers. You input it in your phone and you'll get that ride. And they start at 10 a.m. On the day of the game. And hopefully people use them up fairly quickly, but they will last up until 5 a.m. on New Year's Day. So you don't have to be at the game to use them. You can use them if you're out and about on New Year's Eve. We just really want people to get home safely. So it's a QR code that you have to file or scan from your phone. It'll be available on the District Attorney's social media page, which is EP District Attorney's Office. It'll also be available on the Sun Bowl Association, the website. And so you input the QR code and you get the voucher. Right. It's not a crime to have a good time. It's not a crime to drink alcohol. But when you make a choice to get behind the wheel after you've had too much, then it becomes an issue. And I hate to see it, especially during the holidays. People have lost their loved ones during this time. 10 years ago on Christmas Eve, we lost 3 young adults forever because of the choices of one person. And I know that people don't set out to kill someone that day, but it happens. And this crime is 100% preventable. People just need to make a plan. If you're going out and you're having a good time and then you're trying to figure out a way to get home, by then it's too late. You need to make a plan before you head out how you're getting home that night.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's an absolute pleasure to serve as your president. I know that our community is going to come out in full force. And on the ACC side, we have Louisville.
They're playing and representing the Pac-12, even though they're in the Big Ten. To make it short, University of Washington.
It is official now. We know who's playing in the 91st Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We have the Louisville Cardinal coming for the first time to El Paso against Washington Huskies on December 31st at 12 noon at the Sun Bowl Stadium. Tickets are going fast. We've got 2 fantastic teams. Get your tickets early and come out and enjoy the festivities. It's more than just a football game. We'll have something for everybody. See you there on December 31st.
Welcome back to the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Shout out to our friends over at the Sun Bowl Association. Bernie Olivas and them boys doing a great job over there. This weekend, Friday and Saturday, I will be at the Haskins Center covering the Sun Bowl Invitational Tournament, the Don Haskins Basketball Invitational. We have the Akron Zips, Jackson State, and the Yale Bulldogs coming to visit El Paso to take on the UTEP Miners. That first game on Friday is going to be Akron versus Yale. Then at 7 o'clock is going to be Jackson State versus UTEP. On Saturday, we'll have the consolation game and the winter game. Obviously, this is all leading up to the fun stuff that we're going to be doing with the Sun Bowl. I will be on the sidelines for the Sun Bowl game as the Louisville Cardinals take on the Washington Huskies. That game on December 31st at high noon in the Sun Bowl. That's going to be a fun time. Shout out to everyone over there associated with the Sun Bowl and the Sun Bowl Association. Now, we had gone over earlier the Tippy Top 10. And with the top 10 came these first 6 teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Denver Broncos, the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then at number 6 was the Green Bay Packers. Now, I had said that I would not be surprised if the Green Bay Packers found a way to win the Super Bowl. Tommy Cananza mentions in the comment section, Tip, that ain't happening. Mike, that ain't happening. I'm with you, my dude. I don't feel like it's going to be something that happens right off the bat, but I also do feel like maybe there's a possibility. Maybe something happens, right? Like, it could be. The sun shines on the dog's ass every now and then. I see that my girl Medusa Designs is tuned in over on Facebook as well. Thank you so much, Medusa, for tuning in. Good morning to you as well. We're going over the Tippy Top 10, coming in at number 5. And I feel like this team is getting disrespected, but it's just because they are in the same division with a team that I think everyone had better expectations for or higher expectations for. Gabe the Babe saying, you inspire me. Tommy Canasa saying that he was actually clarifying it, that he was talking about their chances of taking the division from the Detroit Lions, rather, but the Super Bowl is out of reach too. So both of them, neither one of them are happening. There is no sun shining on this dog's ass, according to Tommy Canasa. Hey, man, I'm with it. I don't think it would happen. I just wouldn't be surprised if it happened, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, they're a good team. And I don't think that if they beat the Minnesota Vikings or someone like that in the playoffs, that we could sit back and be like, oh, that's shocking. That's an upset. I don't think so. I think the only upset that they'll get is if they beat the Detroit Lions. But I can also see the Green Bay Packers potentially beating the Detroit Lions, right? Like, they're just a team that I would not be shocked by. The Minnesota Vikings, despite the fact that they're 12-2 right now, that Sam Darnold has been playing out of his mind, would I be shocked if they won the Super Bowl? Yes. But that's mainly because of Sam Darnold, right? Like, to see a dude that was drafted by the Jets, jettisoned out, just tossed to the side for Zach Wilson, sent down to what had to be purgatory of the Carolina Panthers, loses his job to everybody under the sun, including Baker Mayfield, then just gets tossed to the side, becomes a guy that just is on the sideline. I think it was a third-string quarterback last year in San Francisco. To now come to Minnesota, have this team 12-2. Everyone thought to themselves, why would they sign Sam Darnold? Out of all the people to sign, you just drafted J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy goes down with an injury. Sam Darnold steps in. Every single person would have thought that the record would have been inverted, that Minnesota would have been 2-12 on the season instead of 12-2. That's what everyone would have thought, or more than likely did think, other than Sam Darnold and his closest friends, that would have happened with him as a starting quarterback. He has navigated well enough with this team to get them to a 12-2 record. But there's just something about him being Sam Darnold that sits in my head that says, if the Minnesota Vikings won a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold as their quarterback, it would take a miracle. And maybe that's just me being a jerk. maybe that's just me going off of history, right? Maybe I just need to see more out of Sam Darnold. We saw flashes out of Jordan Love last year. We've seen flashes out of Jordan Love all year long. We thought to ourselves, okay, we can trust this guy. But Sam Darnold? Nobody would have trusted Sam Darnold. But here we are, the Minnesota Vikings, 12-2 on the season, doing a phenomenal job. I'm being told that to unblock some people. There's a reason why I block people. So if you're blocked by me, I'm sorry. But I will see about unblocking some people. I will. I got you. That's one of the cool things about being a teacher, right? Like, so for those that don't know, I recently stopped teaching over at a local high school here in El Paso. I just couldn't do it anymore. The kids are amazing. Do not get me wrong on this. The kids at both the schools I taught at are amazing children. It's the bureaucracy and all of the BS that has to deal with it that I just couldn't deal with anymore. I was able to work out a deal with the University of Texas at El Paso here where I can start getting interns and allow them to kind of learn what actually happens in this industry, what to actually expect, and to focus on the things that actually matter, right? So that to me is what's most important. I'm going to be able to still teach, but in a real setting and not in some bureaucratic kind of way. Tommy Cananza saying, go stand in the corner, kids. You know what? Go. Jettisoned out. Go. You're going to the corner. I wonder if I could have done that as a teacher. Like the one thing for me that I always loved is that my classroom was the quietest classroom on earth simply because I sound like this. That's it. I walked in. I would have everyone on day one. They sat down at their tables. I walked to the front of the classroom and was basically like, all right, just so you know, this is my class. My rules, you don't get to talk unless I talk to you. And it was perfect. They learned, hopefully, a little bit, maybe. We'll see. Nonetheless, got to get back to my top 5 list here, my top 10 list here. Keep taking all these different paths to get us over here. I swear to God, one day I will get some ADHD medication. I keep saying I'm going to go to the doctor. It ain't going to happen. 10, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 9, the Denver Broncos. 8, the Baltimore Ravens. 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers. 6, the Green Bay Packers. 5, the Minnesota Vikings at number 4. And it feels like sacrilege to say this, but to me, Sunday created questions that I didn't think were going to be there. The Kansas City Chiefs. How on God's green earth are you 13-1 and not the best team in the NFL? And the only reason why, or at least in most people's minds, and I think the only reason why I have my doubts with the Kansas City Chiefs right now is the injury to Patrick Mahomes. Granted, yes, full participant in practice. But that offensive line is horrid. It's a block of Swiss cheese. So many holes in that offensive line that with Patrick Mahomes not being 100%, it's hard for me to sit here and say to myself, this team with even a 70% Patrick Mahomes is going to win it all. Is going to continue to win. I think he's got to play this week. If he can play, he's got to play this weekend against Pittsburgh. And if they get the win against Pittsburgh, everything else is closed. You've tied up basically the number 1 seed. Get that win, and then go on your happy little way. I see my dude Jesse Carter from the United States Air Force is tuned in. Clown E. Gigglesworth is tuned in right now as well. That's my dude from back in the day at Socorro High School. Got nothing but love for my peoples down from Socorro. You already know that. Tommy Cananza saying, you mean you don't believe in the Kansas City refs? I mean Chiefs? It's not the refs, man. Come on. They're good. They're good. They're lucky. They have everything going their way. You know I love me some Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you can see the Texas Tech Red Raider flag over there. I've got a Patrick Mahomes Funko, a Patrick Mahomes like trading card. I love me some Patrick Mahomes. But if he's not 100% with that offensive line being as bad as that offensive line is, it's hard to say that they're going to be successful. Medusa Design saying TJ Watt is going to have a field day. I guess that's the only other thing too is TJ Watt had a little bit of an injury against that Eagle against the Eagles on Sunday. What's he going to be like? Is he actually going to play to the ability that we know he is? Obviously, this is the time of the season where everybody's got injuries, right? Everybody's got their problems. Everybody's got to find a way to try to overcome it. But to me, Kansas City's offensive line, that's the only question on this team. I don't question the receiving core. I don't question their defense. I don't question their quarterback. I don't question their running backs, even if it's running back by committee. Kareem Hunt came in here, showed us something, right? What I question is the most important part of protecting your quarterback, and that is the offensive line. If you don't have a good O-line, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't have the ability to get your plays off the way you want to get them off. And that, to me, is going to be the biggest issue for the Kansas City Chiefs going forward. What is that offensive line going to be like? There you go. For the Kansas City Chiefs. It feels weird to me to say that the Kansas City Chiefs are bad. Or not bad. Day over on TikTok saying Burrow had a worse O-line and made it to the Super Bowl. I think you're talking about the line that he has now, the O-line that he had in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he got knocked around, but he still had a pretty damn decent offensive line. Like, it wasn't nearly as bad as what we've got with the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, it's just not. And then you're talking about a dude that wasn't taking the amount of hits that Patrick Mahomes was. He had, over the last few games, I think it's 4 games, over the last 4 games, Patrick Mahomes has been hit 45 times. That's a lot of times for your quarterback to get hit. Yes, Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times in one game. Outside of that 9 times in one game, his offensive line held up pretty well. Day also saying that Burrow is way better than Patrick Mahomes. I always love whenever people say that argument because I also guarantee that's the same type of person that says rings are what makes a champion, right? Rings are what separates people. You can't say that Joe Burrow is better than Patrick Mahomes, and you can't say that he's way better than Patrick Mahomes because statistically, Patrick Mahomes has been owning him. And then he has the rings. I get it. We all turn on champions, right? We get tired of watching people win. I think people are tired of watching the Kansas City Chiefs win. Not me. I love me some Patrick Mahomes. But you cannot sit there and say that Burrow is way better than Patrick Mahomes. When Mahomes has the stats, he has the records, and he has the rings. Does he look better? Yeah. Does he have a Batmobile? Yeah. Put Patrick Mahomes on that team, and I guarantee you they're not 5-8 right now. Or 6-8 right now. I guarantee you they're not. You put Joe Burrow on the Kansas City Chiefs, and I guarantee you they're not 13-1. Coming in at number 3, though, the Detroit Lions. Maybe it's just because they lost against the number 2 team, the Buffalo Bills, but to me, I still have a lot of faith in the Detroit Lions. I think this was a good win, get some reset, focused back on to what we got to do. You heard Dan Campbell talk about it, right? We got punched in the mouth, and now we're getting ready to fight back. I love that mindset. I believe in good losses, especially whenever you have a winning streak going your way. Take an L, get reset, and get back out there and start kicking some ass, right? That's what I believe is going to start happening with the Detroit Lions. The number 2 team, being the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen has to be the MVP. Like, there's no way in hell that you can give the MVP to anybody other than Josh Allen right now. The guy is playing out of his mind. They finally gave him a number 1 receiver with Amari Cooper. He's able to hit guys like Dawson Knox. You don't want to run into the dude. They have a great running game with Cook. Like the Buffalo Bills' only weakness is the run game. But if you cannot put up points with the Buffalo Bills, then you're not going to be able to run the ball on them because you have to pass. Their strength in defense is pass rush and their secondary. The Buffalo Bills, to me, should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. And again, me growing up in the 90s, that sounds weird, right? So to say that the Lions and the Buffalo Bills are the teams that should be the favorites to be in the Super Bowl, but it's just mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing to me that they are this damn good this late in the season whenever everyone thought losing Stephon Diggs was going to be a huge blow to them. Josh Allen just keeps doing his thing. Amari Cooper, really good to help him out. I love the signing of Amari Cooper. The Buffalo Bills, to me, should be the overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl. Josh Allen should be the overwhelming favorite to be the MVP. I cannot think of another team that needs a player on them that's as valuable, or that has a player on them that's as valuable as what Josh Allen is this year. Maybe Saquon Barkley. Maybe you can say Saquon Barkley, but we're talking about a team with Philadelphia last year that was 10-1 at one point. Josh Allen he's showing that he's the man. He's the man now. We have to genuflect to King Josh Allen. He is the man right now. Medusa Design saying Lions at 3. Hold up. Let me see what your number 1 is. Number 1, and I know it's going to make Tommy Carranza mad. It feels gross for me to say it. The number 1 team that I have on the Tippy Top 10. At number 10, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At number 9, the Denver Broncos. Number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 7, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 6, the Green Bay Packers. Number 5, the Minnesota Vikings. Number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. 3, the Detroit Lions. 2, the Buffalo Bills. Number 1, and you can see on the screen, the Philadelphia Eagles. Tommy told me anytime I talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, he's throwing the tomatoes at me. Thank God they are virtual tomatoes. Otherwise, I would be covered in tomato juice. But you got to give the devil his due. You got to give them their flowers. You got to remind everybody that this team somehow, some way is 12-2. Everything we thought Baltimore would be by having Jalen Hurts or by having Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, the Baltimore or the Philadelphia Eagles are. Everything we thought Baltimore would be. A dominant run team with a good pass game, with a quarterback who can do X, Y, Z. The Philadelphia Eagles are, but better. And I hate saying that as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I hate acknowledging as if it was Roman Reigns. They're not my tribal chief. They're more of the Solo Sikoa as far as I'm concerned. But the Philadelphia Eagles, the way that they dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are a really good team, the way that they have been just churning through every team that they have faced, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been absolutely amazing. I don't know who this D guy is, but he says, Jamar is your daddy. Don't know what that means. Like Jamar Chase? Like who? What are you talking about, guy? If you're going to comment on in the comment section, which I'm cool with, I'm all about people commenting in the comment section. Have a brain. Be able to actually think before you put something out there. That's it. Plain and simple. If your value as a human being is based off of a professional athlete's abilities, you're a loser. End of discussion. But the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFL as of right now. It's so hard for me to think that this team can lose. They have a great defensive line. They have great linebacking. Vaughn, a dude that they just got off of a practice squad from San Francisco, has come out and led the league in tackles. How? How is this guy not like a name that we already all know? They have a solid secondary. They have a great offense. People are saying Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball. He's doing well enough. He doesn't have to throw the ball when you can hand it off to Saquon Barkley, and he can run it himself. And now that your defense is sucked up all the way to the front of the line, you got to wonder, now he can just dink and dunk it. You don't have to be a great passer in order to do those things. Tommy Carranza saying Dallas is beating Philadelphia next week with Cooper Rush, and when it happens, you take them chumps off the list completely. I will. Tommy, I would love nothing better. Nothing better. If I will make the deal with you right now. If the Philadelphia Eagles lose to the Dallas Cowboys and they're not sitting everyone out. If the Eagles are not sitting everyone out, that's my only caveat. If they lose to the Dallas Cowboys next week, I will forever call them frauds, and they will never, I don't speak in absolutes, but I will do this one time. I will never add them to my top 10 list again if they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. That, my friend, is a huge if. Got some stuff going on over here. Medusa Design saying, be nice, Tip. I never once said in my life that I was a nice guy. I think I said it 1,000 times on this show. I'm an a-hole. I got no problems with it. I'm going to call you out on your bull. It's that simple. Because the fact of the matter is all these internet tough dudes, like, I've seen it a bunch of times, right? Like where people be like, you're an idiot, you're dumb, you're this, you're that, you're blah, 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 blah. I'll be eating at a restaurant downtown and they want to come over and talk sports with me. It's really nice. Their attitude changes like that when they see you out in public. I'm all about it, dude. I'm all about the banter. But if you're going to comment on stuff, be smart. That's the only thing I ask, right? Like just have a brain, be intelligible. Let's have a decent conversation. Because you got to remember, I'm from Socorro, my dude. I'm from Socorro. I can talk crap with the best of them. I got no problems. None at all. Also been to jail 3 times. Turned my life around. That's why I do this stuff now. Tommy can also saying the Eagles are trying to get the number 1 seed. They aren't sitting anyone. That's what I'm saying. If the Dallas Cowboys beat a fully rostered Philadelphia Eagles team, I will forever take them off my list. You have my word right there, Tommy. You have my word, my friend. I got nothing but love for you. All right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for tuning into the show. Remember, tomorrow you can catch me out over at the Don Haskins Center for the Don Haskins Invitational Tournament. We've got Akron, Yale, and Jackson State coming into El Paso to face off against the home team, UTEP Miners, in the Sun Bowl Invitational. A couple of weeks from now, we are going to have the Sun Bowl game, one of the best events in the city of El Paso. I want to thank you all so much for tuning into the show. We will see you tomorrow. I guess tomorrow's Friday, so we'll see most of you tomorrow. My Roku audience, got nothing but love for you. We'll see you next week.
Oh, hello. I'm Mike Tipton. I want to tell you about the perfect gift this holiday season. The Balber's dual-sided ergonomic design allows it to go both ways, meaning you can shave in either direction. The slim shape is optimal for trimming those hard-to-reach areas. It's also nut-safe, providing a 30-degree pivoting blade that is engineered for nut keeping. Say goodbye to the cuts, nicks, pulling, tugging, and snaps. If you're looking for stamina, it's got exactly what you need. With its long-lasting lithium rechargeable battery, it can last up to 150 minutes on one charge. The Balber is IPX7 waterproof, which means it can have fun, dry, or wet. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton to give your man the perfect package for his package.